Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. For the headline act in the Premier League this Saturday evening, we see Manchester City host Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. Pep Guardiola's side are currently on a run of 11 wins in a row in all competitions. Their last outing was a comprehensive Champions League away performance on Tuesday night at Copenhagen. Goals from De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and Foden brought home a 3-1 victory in the first leg of the round of 16 affair. Games in hand are Manchester City's friend right now, as despite sitting third, 2 wins with their game spare would put them top of the table. For the away side, Chelsea are slumped in mid-table for a second season in a row. They will want an improvement in league position, as last campaign under 3 different managers they fell to a 12th place finish. 2 wins from their last 2 has lifted confidence, as both victories have also come away from home against Villa in the FA Cup and Palace on Monday night in the league. It was a blockbuster at the Bridge the last time these two teams met in the reverse fixture in mid-November. It ended 4-4, and it was a game which was very back and forth, and the points were shared thanks to a Cole Palmer penalty in the 95th minute. This is the 54th meeting between these two sides in the Premier League. City have won 6 of the last 8, with Chelsea's last win in the league coming back in May 2021 at the Etihad Stadium. So, for Pep versus Poch, which side will emerge with all 3 points tonight? The points could be shared, like last time, but it is a Manchester City side who have hit their stride once again, coming towards the second half of the season. We know Manchester City do this more often than not in their Premier League campaigns. They have some question marks around halfway point. Will they be able to challenge for the league title again? And then they'll go on after January into February and really kick on. And they've done that once again. 11 wins in a row in all competitions. The last time they were defeated was at Aston Villa in the Premier League. And for Manchester City, they're unbeaten in their last 8 league games with 6 wins in a row against Everton, Sheffield United, Newcastle, Burnley, Brentford and Everton. They are on a fantastic run at the moment, Manchester City, and they are coming up against a Chelsea side who are starting to gain some confidence with their last 2 games ending in victory. It was a very impressive performance in the FA Cup against Aston Villa. We covered that game on this channel, and it was the first real glimpse I've seen of a Pochettino side at Chelsea that seemed like there was promise, like there was a way of playing, and like a team that could gel together and become a great team. I didn't catch their game against Crystal Palace, but the goals came late in terms of the winners. Gallagher scoring twice, one straight after half-time, and then also scoring one in the 91st minute to give Chelsea the lead in that one. Then Enzo Fernandez added a third to make it 3-1 in the 4th minute of added on time. But in fairness, in all competitions, Chelsea do have 6 wins from the last 10. It's not the worst record you've ever seen, but this is their warm-up game for their League Cup final next week on Sunday, which comes up against Liverpool at Wembley. So it's a very difficult fixture to have to come up against as your warm-up game before a cup final, playing Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. But these two sides did meet 4 times last season. Manchester City won all 4 of the affairs. They played each other in the FA Cup and the League Cup, where Manchester City came out on top. They were both at the Etihad. And then the game at the Etihad in the league was when Manchester City lifted the Premier League trophy on the 21st of May. It was a 1-0 win. Alvarez goal assisted by a certain Cole Palmer. And the game at Stamford Bridge was also a 1-0 win for Manchester City. It was a goal assisted by Grealish for Mahrez. You might remember that ball across the box where Kepa almost just let it go across, and Mahrez had a tap in. So this has very much been the fixture for Manchester City in the last couple of years. We haven't had a 0-0. I always like to mention a stat like this because we don't hope for 0-0s, but the last 0-0 between these two was in November 2012. So it has been well over 11 years since the last 0-0. And interestingly enough, the last time Chelsea beat Manchester City was in the Premier League in May. Was in the Champions League in May 2021. But 3 weeks before that, Chelsea beat Manchester City in the league at the Etihad by 2-1. So they faced each other twice in quick succession, Manchester City and Chelsea in 2021, and Chelsea came out on top both times. I believe in that season, Chelsea also knocked out Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-finals, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely a year to remember for Chelsea in 2021 against City. But in recent years, the last couple gone, it has been City's fixture to win, usually. Like I say, 6 wins from the last 8, and 6 of those wins have involved 5 clean sheets. So usually when City go ahead in these games and take the win, they don't usually concede a goal. As for Ederson, he has kept 7 clean sheets in 13 against Chelsea in his career, which will be a very exciting game with the fact that these two encountered in a 4-4 draw earlier on in the season. Both players now are getting ready in the tunnel at the Etihad Stadium. There is 18 points that separate these two teams at the moment. Chelsea have just dropped into 11th after Wolverhampton Wanderers picked up 3 points away at Tottenham in the 3 o'clock kickoff. So Tottenham have dropped to 5th. Aston Villa have gone up to 4th on 49 points with their victory away at Fulham. But we'll go through both sides now. As you can see them on screen, and we'll start with Manchester City's lineup, where they've made 2 changes from last week's starting 11 against Everton at the Etihad Stadium. Ederson remains in goal, playing his 240th game in the Premier League. This evening, a back 4 of Kyle Walker at right back. At left back is going to be former Chelsea man of 6 years, Nathan Ake. 2 centre-halves of Ruben Diaz and Manuel Akanji. 3 in the midfield, I believe it's going to be Rodri with De Bruyne, who's 2 goals away from 100 for Manchester City, and playing a more central role is going to be Phil Foden, who's featured in every game in the Premier League so far this season, scoring 8 in the process, picking up that hat-trick on the 5th of February against Brentford a couple of games ago. And then the forward line up front, it's going to be Julian Alvarez, who's got the 8 Premier League goals as well, just like Foden, with 4 in his last 6. Jeremy Doku on the left, coming in for the injured Jack Grealish, and leading the line up front on his 80th appearance for the club. It is Erling Haaland, who has got 16 Premier League goals, and he was back in goal-scoring form in that game against Everton last week, where he scored the brace to give City the 3 points. He hadn't scored in his previous 4 in the Premier League before that double against Everton, and he's back in, the 23-year-old, looking to mark his 80th game for City with a goal. Did score twice in the reverse fixture, Erling Haaland, from the penalty spot in the 25th minute, and then scored in the 47th. You might remember he bundled it over the line. So he'll be wanting to score again as both lineups here enter the field. That's the Manchester City team. For Chelsea, it remains George Petrovic in goal, the new signing from New England in the summer, still in for the injured Robert Sanchez. Back 4 on the right-hand side is going to be 20-year-old Malo Gusto. At left back is going to be captain Ben Chilwell, who's making his 100th Chelsea appearance. And then 2 centre-halves of Axel Disasi and Levi Colwill, who comes in for the injured Thiago Silva. 2 holding midfielders of Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. And a 3 behind the striker on the right is going to be former City man Cole Palmer, who was at the club since the under-8 level, and he's returning to the Etihad for the first time as a Chelsea player. On the left is going to be Raheem Sterling, who has scored twice in 9 previously against Manchester City, once for Liverpool in 2014 at Anfield, and then one in the last game between these two in that 4-4 draw. In behind the striker is going to be Conor Gallagher, who's got 3 goals this season. They've all come in his last 2 appearances. And up front, leading the line, back from AFCON and back scoring goals as well, it is Nicholas Jackson. Scored the goal in the FA Cup game against Aston Villa. And he has got 1 in the last 10 that he's played in the Premier League. So want to get back scoring in the league. One of those 7 he's already got in the Premier League did come against Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. He made the game all square at 3-3, capitalising on a Manchester City error at the back. And for Chelsea, it's the same as City, just the 2 changes from their last lineup in the league against Crystal Palace for Chelsea. So it is a game where City have had Champions League action in the week, so they'll be slightly more tired than the Chelsea side. But the Chelsea team did play at the latest point possible on that Monday night slot at the start of this week. So they're the two teams. It should be a very interesting affair at the Etihad. Actually, 0 wins in the last 7 for Chelsea against Manchester City. Their last win was that Champions League final back in 2021. And they do usually concede a goal when they play Manchester City. Chelsea, they have only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 19 Premier League meetings against the current reigning champions. The that 1 clean sheet in the last 19 coming under Maurizio Sarri in December 2018. So Manchester City will know that they'll be able to score. It's just how many can they score, and will it be enough to take home the 3 points? Because you would think scoring 4 at Stamford Bridge would have been enough for the win, but unfortunately for the home side tonight, that wasn't enough at Stamford Bridge, having to draw that game 4-4. Both sides have drawn 4 games this season in the league. Manchester City have drawn 3 at home against Liverpool in November, then twice in December against Spurs and Palace. But they are yet to lose at home this season, and their last home loss in the Premier League came back on the 12th of November 2022 against Brentford. So it's a place where Manchester City have always been strong, and they will continue to try and carry on that form till the end of the season, as they are in a title race which doesn't just consist of them in Liverpool. Arsenal are also following behind with their thumping of Burnley this afternoon by 5-0. But here our focus is on Manchester City and Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. Chelsea kick us off, kicking right to left. Manchester City will be kicking left to right here. And can Chelsea spring an upset and take some more points off City? Or can Manchester City take a step closer to Liverpool with a game in hand? It's Chelsea on the ball with Conor Gallagher. Tackled by Rodri. Plays it forward to De Bruyne, who's just gone beyond the halfway line. He's got Doku to his left, and he finds his Belgian teammate. Here is Jeremy Doku in the final third. Turns away from Enzo Fernandez. And just plays the ball back calmly here to Nathan Ake at left back. And we're in the centre circle with Akanji, as Ake is at left back tonight, as Gvardiol has been ruled out for the next couple of weeks with injury. Their big money signing in the summer, Josko Gvardiol. He's featured heavily for City this season as Doku tries to take on Gusto, tackled by the French right-back, who plays it forward to Fernandez. To his right to Cole Palmer. Inside to Caicedo, midway side his own half. Finds Sterling, who's been tackled by Walker. De Bruyne, edge of the area. Plays it across to his right to Haaland, who lays it off now for Alvarez, who can let fly. And he just drags the shot wide. Took it on with the inside of his right foot, looking to curl it to the bottom right corner, but couldn't quite get his foot around the ball enough to curl it into the goal at the far post. Could be easily seen behind there by Djordje Petrovic. But it's a lively start from Alvarez, who has started every Premier League game so far this season for Manchester City. He is the definition of ever-present so far this season for Guardiola. Chilwell from the goal kick controls it nicely, but the pass isn't accurate enough. Runs out of play on the near side, throwing for Manchester City. With Kyle Walker 15 yards inside the Chelsea half. He throws it into his own half here to Ruben Diaz, who finds Ederson on the edge of his 18-yard box here. Conceded his 250th goal for Manchester City in the week, Ederson, in Copenhagen. And it was due to his error. Poor pass into the City midfield. Gave the chance to Copenhagen, where they took advantage of it. But Manchester City were able to get themselves back in front in that game, and they take a 2-goal lead into the second leg of that one against Copenhagen in a couple of weeks' time. As Ake goes forward to Haaland, knocks it inside, looking for De Bruyne in the City half. It's been cut out by Fernandes, and Chelsea have been forced back to their own goalkeeper here, Djordje Petrovic, 24-year-old who's making his 16th appearance in all competitions this season. He's been filling in for the injured Robert Sanchez, who was in goal for the reverse fixture, the Spaniard from Brighton. And in fact, it's only Axel Disasi at the back who's the only player who started that last game against City. Sanchez, James, Silva and Cucurella are all injured. The back five that made Chelsea's defence that day. The City back on the ball with right back and captain Kyle Walker, whose last goal came 851 days ago for the right back. It was in a Champions League group stage game against Club Brugge in October 2021. And we know how much of a threat he is, Kyle Walker, going forward. But he's not usually the one to finish the moves. He's usually the one who gets the assist for his cutback that he can display when he gets towards the byline. And that's something Chelsea will have to be wary of, the pace that Manchester City have in this side, with the likes of Kyle Walker and Doku as well, and Haaland, of course. And it's still with right-back Walker here. Defensive third for City, so they've been pressed backwards here. And it's Akanji, who just about keeps it away from Sterling, deflects it off Chilwell, and that'll be a throw-in, I believe, for City, or I think it's a free kick, actually, as Akanji played his pass down the line. He was just brought to the ground, so it'll be a free kick for City. It's been taken quickly. It's with Nathan Ake, and I do believe when City are in possession, it goes to a back three, with Ake, Diaz and Walker, and Akanji will bring himself into the midfield. And that's the role that Akanji played when these two sides met at Stamford Bridge. Stones was out injured, I believe, so Akanji had to take up that midfield role that Stones has become so well known for. And he'll have to do it again today, the Swiss defender. And here he is on the ball, midway side his own half. He diverts the ball back to Diaz. It's now with Ederson, and Chelsea relax their press. Don't want to tie themselves up too easily, and they'll allow Ederson to dribble outside the box and just play it simply to his right here to Ruben Diaz. And I was looking through City's upcoming fixtures, and it is difficult in the Premier League especially. They've got Manchester United next on the 2nd of March at the Etihad. These are their March fixtures. So their first game in March is Manchester United at home. Then they've got Liverpool away the week after, then Brighton away, then Arsenal at home, and then Aston Villa at home in the starting of April. So March is a huge month for Manchester City, and they want to go into that month with as many wins as possible, as Rodri's ball's cut out by Chilwell on the edge of the 18-yard box. It falls to Sterling, who can get around Kyle Walker, and he plays the ball down the left flank here for Jackson, who's peeled out wide. He's got Diaz up against him, and he's tackled by the Portuguese international, and then Diaz can work it through towards De Bruyne, tackled here, and it's now with Sterling on the near side. Gets away from Diaz, passes the ball off Rodri for Foden, who's then pulled down by Enzo Fernandez. And it's a free kick here on the near side for Manchester City. Just a little bit scrappy in the wide areas there for both sides. No player could really get control of the ball. It's Akanji in the centre circle, forward to Haaland, out to the right to De Bruyne. He's got Foden making a run in front of him, and he finds him. Foden in the area, onto his left foot. Couldn't get the shot off, but he keeps it away from Fernandes. He's had to work himself out of the box here, and he tries to outmuscle Chilwell, who takes the ball off him, and then a strong challenge from Foden concedes the throw-in. And it'll be Chelsea's ball, as it does seem like the rain is bouncing down in Manchester. And as I've said already, I'm on it with my notes today. It is Ben Chilwell's 100th game as a Chelsea player, joined back in August 2020 for £50 million from Leicester. As it's Caicedo back into the Chelsea box here with Levi Colwill. It goes across to Petrovic. Now out to the right to Disasi. Outside the 18-yard box, he's got De Bruyne closest to him. Clips it forward. It finds Jackson, who touches it into Gallagher. Fantastic bit of play there from Nicholas Jackson. It's Cole Palmer on the far side. He's got Gusto overlapping. Cole Palmer midway side the City half, works his way across, then plays a ball forward to Enzo Fernandez, flicks it into Conor Gallagher. Cut back goes through to Kyle Walker, who can prod it clear over to the opposite side here to Doku, who's tackled by Gusto. And that is a throw-in for Manchester City. But that's the first big chance of the game. I know Alvarez had a shot 2 minutes in, but it was well wide of the post. But that pass from Palmer to find Enzo Fernandez was defence splitting. Then Enzo Fernandez having the intelligence to play that first time ball into the box for Conor Gallagher. But it was just lacking that final creative pass from Gallagher. Finding the cutback straight to Walker and not a Chelsea teammate. But Chelsea will try and come again here. Sterling in the central area. About 25 yards from goal. Bodied off the ball by Akanji. Foden dispossessed from Gallagher. Loses his foot in there, Gallagher. And the ball's back with Ederson in the City goal. He smashes that clear down the City left where Doku will chase it. Gusto tries to deal with it. And he is dispossessed there, Gusto. And he then brings down Doku. And it'll be a free kick for the home side. Given by tonight's referee, Andy Madley, the 40-year-old referee. Gusto intercepted it and then let the ball bounce. Which then Doku could get his body in front of Gusto. And Gusto went around Doku to try and win the ball. But instead of hitting the ball, he kicked the man instead. And it's a free kick for Manchester City, won by Jeremy Doku. He's got 2 goals in the Premier League for Manchester City. His last in November against Bournemouth, where he picked up 4 assists that day. The man signed from Stade Rennais in the summer. So it's around 40 yards out on the far side for City. So obviously too far out for the shot, but it can be a dangerous area and angle for Kevin De Bruyne, the former Chelsea man, who has become one of the best midfielders the Premier League's ever seen. And he'll look to try and curl this in with his right foot into the area. Chelsea have got a line about 5 yards outside the 18-yard box. De Bruyne runs over it and it'll be Foden to cross the ball in. Headed away by Caicedo. Falls for Alvarez 25 yards out and he'll shoot the ball towards goal. It's headed off Fernandez. Petrovic falls over. Diaz with the header forward. And it's caught in the end by the Serbian goalkeeper. All of it a bit of a mess there. Foden's cross wasn't great. Headed away on the edge of the box by Caicedo. Alvarez then went for the strike, which probably would have been saved by Petrovic, but it was Enzo Fernandez that blocked it with his head. And then as the ball was in the air, Petrovic went to punch, completely missed it, allowed Diaz to head forward, but Petrovic had got back onto his line quickly and caught the ball with ease. And there's Manchester City's first real opening in the game with that header for Diaz. Real mess made of it there by Petrovic as Akanji slightly got in the way, but not enough for a foul. It's just not very confident goalkeeping. So we're under 10 minutes in here. City attacking the final third with De Bruyne inside to Foden. On the right-hand side for City. Goes back to Kyle Walker. Back down the line here for De Bruyne. On that angle that he loves so much. Doesn't quite have the body shape for a cross. With Sterling close to him. So goes back to Walker. He's now in the back 4 with Akanji. About 10 yards inside the Chelsea half. Works out to the right again to De Bruyne. Plays a ball across to Alvarez. That's a beautiful pass. Now once more out to the left-hand side here to Doku. He's got Alvarez making a run out to the left. Doesn't use him. Goes back to Ake instead. He plays it back out now to Doku in the final third. 1-on-1 with Gusto. Wants to get onto his right foot here, Doku. Shifts it onto the right foot. Then goes to the edge of the box to Alvarez. Dispossessed here by Gallagher. Counter-attack could be on. City have got bodies back. It's with Nicholas Jackson on the right-hand side. Playing the through ball towards Sterling. And it's wildly overhit. Straight to Ederson in the 6-yard box. But Sterling was making a run across there towards the Chelsea right. And if the pass was weighted correctly, Raheem Sterling could have had a shot on goal, but overhit by Nicholas Jackson. And City will attack again with Akanji across to Rodri, about 10 yards inside the Chelsea half. It's with number 6 Nathan Ake, who's got the 1 goal against Chelsea previously in his Bournemouth days. It was at Stamford Bridge in the 17-18 season. It was a 3-0 win that day for Bournemouth, the team that Nathan Ake was previously at before his move to Manchester City for £45 million. Doku, ball forward to Alvarez towards the byline in the box, left-footed cross towards Erling Haaland, and the header goes wide. From so close, you'd expect Haaland to at least work the header on target, but he's aimed it towards the top right corner. And it's a beautiful ball from Doku to find Alvarez. And the cross was great. The finish wasn't. Haaland getting above Colwill, trying to direct it towards the top right corner. It's not the worst headed attempt in the world. It almost seems like Haaland tried to be too precise with that header. Instead of getting on target, he tried to almost just direct the ball to that top right corner. And it's gone over the bar and wide. But that's the best chance of the game so far. And it's fell to Erling Haaland, who's on 21 goals for the season in all competitions at the moment. 16 of them in the Premier League. He's failed to score in 8 games so far this season in the league, Erling Haaland. But I'm hoping he scores a couple tonight because he's triple captained in my fantasy football team. So I wouldn't mind if Erling Haaland got himself on the score sheet once or twice. As Chelsea breakaway with Sterling on the left, 1-on-1 for Kanji, onto his right foot, strikes it towards the far corner. Does not connect with that at all there. Raheem Sterling, a comfortable save for Ederson. Played down the line there by Fernandes. And he was confident running at Akanji, Raheem Sterling. But the shot was pretty timid. Easy save down low to Ederson's left. And the game remains 0-0 here at the Etihad, where both sides have got off to positive starts, I'd say. I think Pochettino will be happy with the way his side have stayed in the game so far in the opening 13 minutes, as inside the City half. It's Akanji curling out to the right to Foden, who seems to be working more of a wide position in the opening 13 minutes in this game. He finds De Bruyne, first time cross, it's a deep one. It'll go all the way through to Doku outside the box, who will collect the ball. He's got Alvarez outside the box. He'll find the Argentine World Cup winner. And he diverts it to Ake, back into Alvarez. Now to Rodri, midway side of the Chelsea half. Lifts it to the far side, to the near side here, to De Bruyne. Tries to work across to the far post, cut out by Gusto on the edge of the box. And it can be cleared up the field by Disasi. Straight to Jackson. Chested touch force to Rodri. And it's back with City with Ake. Rodri again. Across the halfway line to Akanji. And then back to Walker. And it's Manchester City who are back in possession of the ball inside their own half. They've got Brentford in the week in the league. Manchester City, their game in hand. The game they missed during the Club World Cup in December. Then after that, it's a trip to Bournemouth and then Luton as well in the week in the FA Cup. And then, as we've already mentioned, those March fixtures are very tasty, but very difficult on paper for Manchester City. But they've hit form when they need to. 11 wins in all competitions at the moment in a row, including that Club World Cup run in the winter. Still with City inside their own half here with number 3, Ruben Diaz, who gave away the penalty for the equaliser in the reverse fixture at Stamford Bridge, taking down Armando Broja, who's currently on loan at Fulham. As it is City to lose possession here with Akanji trying to win it back. Sterling plays it to Cole Palmer on the right wing position. 1-on-1 with Ake. Gusto's overlapping. Finds him. Gusto crosses. Deflects off Alvarez. And drops here for the Argentine, who can lift it down the left flank here for Doku. Charging forward. Entering the Chelsea half. He's got Caicedo alongside him. He's got De Bruyne making a run down the line. Doku strides inside and plays it across to Rodri. We know he can hit them from afar. Rodri will try it. It's blocked and it's played through by Disasi to Caicedo, who's tried to go back to Colwill. It just about reaches him. But as he was trying to release the ball there, Caicedo was pulled back. And it is a Chelsea free kick on the edge of their 18-yard box here. It was a quick counter-attack there from Manchester City, with Doku the one striding forward. And there is Pep Guardiola. Took charge of his 450th game for Manchester City in Copenhagen. In that 3-1 win, it was his 333rd victory for Pep Guardiola, who's just lost one game in the last 24 in all competitions for City from October to February. As Chelsea try and play down the left-hand side to Sterling, bounces off his thigh. And it goes out for a City throw-in, which has been thrown back into their own half here to Diaz by Walker, who just had a little quick handshake there with Pochettino as he received the ball from the Chelsea manager. Of course, Walker and Pochettino working together at Spurs. But in his previous 28, Kyle Walker's never scored against Chelsea, but he's beat them 12 times, 11 of them for Manchester City. As Doku slips, gives away the ball. It's now Gusto right back, marauding forward, lays it off to Gallagher, back out to the far side here to Cole Palmer inside his own half, tries to stride the ball forward. He finds the City half here and he tries to go beyond Ake. He's been tackled by the Dutchman. Goes back to Ederson. He's got Jackson closing him down, takes the ball off him. He's on a wide angle, so can't shoot here, Jackson. But he's won the ball in a dangerous area and he puts it in the box where no Chelsea players there to meet it. Cleared by Akanji, as far as Caicedo. Fernandes to Gallagher, edge of the box. Can he work a shot? Plays it through for Palmer instead. What a tackle that is from Ake. It was a really clever ball. It was a reverse passing behind there from Gallagher, who looked like he was going the opposite direction. But but instead slipped it in behind towards Cole Palmer. He'd fancy to score there, but it was Ake to slide in and get the touch to the ball to concede the corner. It's a great pass in behind Ake there from Gallagher, and the former Bournemouth and Chelsea defenders done well there on the recovery to slide in and get the foot to the ball before Cole Palmer could. But it's been a lively opening 17 and a half minutes here at the Etihad Stadium. Both sides certainly in the game. Chelsea have held themselves pretty well so far. They've flooded the 6-yard box at the moment here, the away side, as it is rainy and blustery conditions in Manchester. It looks like it's going to be a left-footed in-swinger here from Ben Chilwell. He has got the short option of Gallagher, but with Chilwell to deliver the ball in to that 6-yard box. Header won by Diaz. It'll drop through towards Doku, can't control it. Sterling back out to the right-hand side to Gallagher, who will cross it himself. Flicked away by Diaz. Picked up here by Caicedo. Out to the left here now to Palmer. Plenty of body still in the box here for Chelsea, but he fakes the cross and plays it to his right to Caicedo, who though goes back into the centre circle here with gusto. So now Gallagher back to Petrovic. Good pressing from City to force Chelsea back to the edge of the 18-yard box. Caicedo back here into Petrovic. And then across to the right here to Disasi. Got Doku closing him down. Goes forward here to Palmer. He's picked the ball up in a pocket of space. Then playing it through towards Gusto. Just takes a slight nick off Diaz. It's a throw in for Chelsea on the far side. About 10 yards inside the Manchester City half. Palmer, 1-2 with Gusto. It's now back on the halfway line with Caicedo. And across to the number 26 of Levi Colwill. Sterling on the near side. Back here into number 23. Conor Gallagher, who scored here once before. It was in a 2-0 away win with Crystal Palace in his loan spell. It's Caicedo. It's just sat in between the two centre-backs, the Ecuadorian. So Colwill bringing it away on the left-hand side. Sterling misplaces a pass towards Chilwell. Foden to Akanji. Forward to Alvarez, back to Walker. Then on once more here to Ederson in the 6-yard box, who clears it away this time. Towards the halfway line. Goes beyond Gusto and Doku. It's back in Chelsea possession. They probably had more of the ball than they would have expected, Chelsea, in the opening 20 minutes here. You know, they've not had most of the ball, but they've had a decent amount of it, despite playing City away. Fernandes, short ball towards Gusto, picked up by Ake. Alvarez to Doku, and then back to kill the momentum to Diaz, who's midway inside the Chelsea half here, just hovering over the City left-hand side at the moment here. Diaz, looking for his options, pokes it forward here to Ake, who tries to take on Enzo Fernandez. Can't quite get around the Argentine. And it needs to be dealt with here by Chelsea in the right-back position towards the byline. Cleared by Gusto. Flicked on by Gallagher to Jackson, whose pass has been cut out there by Akanji as he looked to return it to Gallagher. Haaland, heavy touch, loses it to Caicedo. Quickly out to the left here to Sterling from Fernandes. Chilwell's getting forward in the City half. Just slows the game down, Sterling, and plays it back into Enzo Fernandez on halfway. Switch out to the right flank here to Palmer. Takes it down very well. And we'll eventually go back here to Gusto. And it's Chelsea getting possession. Whose last home game was back on the 4th of February. And it was a 4-2 loss to Wolves. Their last 2 games in all competitions have been on their travels. They had lost 5 of their last 6 away games in the Premier League, Chelsea, before their win at Selhurst Park on Monday night. So they haven't really been on it away from home this season. Only won 5 of their 12, with their last away win being at Luton. Before, again, that win at Crystal Palace. Diaz on the edge of the box for City. Dribbles the ball forward and plays it into the path of Ake. Over the top ball. Looking for Alvarez. Comes off Caicedo. Played forward by Disasi to the halfway line to Fernandes. Good flick there by Jackson for Gallagher. Towards Palmer, who won't beat Ake to it. Cleared away by the City number 6. And it's a throw in here for Chelsea. It's now back with their right centre-half of Axel Disasi. It's now Petrovic in the 18-yard box here for Chelsea. Gusto, midway side zone half, on this far side. Finds Palmer. Turns away from Doku and plays it through here. Gusto's in behind and he's onside. Jackson's free across him. Can he find him? Jackson takes the touch, tries the shot, and it's saved by Ederson. Chelsea are well in this game at the moment, and that's a huge opportunity. Getting that ball in behind. And the Gusto pass found Jackson. His first touch let him down slightly. Was able to work the shot, but it was closed down quickly by Ederson, who could make the save. But it's City now at the other end in the final third here with Doku. Back to Nathan Ake. It's now with Rodri, who's peeled out to the left-hand side. It's now with Akanji, 30 yards from goal. Doesn't fancy having a shot there, the Swiss defender. It's now with Rodri in the midfield. Forward to De Bruyne. He's got Gusto in front of him. Doku's wide. Plays it to Jeremy Doku. Back into Kevin De Bruyne. Through for Doku again. Just poked away from him by Palmer, who asks for the goal kick. Doesn't get it. Corner for City. Going to show this opportunity again. Cole Palmer was the one who found the defence splitting pass as Ake was caught out of position. Diaz tried to come across. Gusto played it through for Jackson, whose first touch around the penalty spot was just too far in front of him. He could get there first, and he got the shot off Jackson, but the touch let him down, and Ederson quickly closed down the angle and made the save as from the corner, Alvarez strikes it, slices it to Foden, who heads it forward towards Akanji. Header won by Disasi. Volleyed in the air there by Fernandez, and it goes out of play for a throw-in as Akanji stayed down there as he tried to win the header in the box, as it was Foden to nod it on after the sliced attempt from Alvarez. Let's have a look here. Ball goes forward. Disasi goes up for it and slightly catches Akanji with his elbow to the side of the head. Some City players are asking for a penalty. I think that would have been a little bit overly harsh. I mean, to jump, you've got to, get those arms moving. And I think Akanji was a little late to spring up into the air. So I don't think there'll be any penalty kick there. Akanji is back to his feet. But it is Chelsea with the biggest chance of the lot. Nicholas Jackson looking to score his 10th goal of the season in all competitions. He's only got one in his last 10 that he's played in the Premier League. So his league form isn't quite there at the moment for Nicholas Jackson, as Chilwell is knocked over by Haaland in the left-back position. And that will be a free kick for Chelsea. It's a big save from Ederson, who kept his lowest amount of clean sheets last season with 11. His second lowest was in the 2017-2018 season and the 2019-2020 season with 17. So it was a real drop-off in terms of clean sheets last season for City and Ederson. But it didn't really matter too much because they still went on and won the Premier League title. As the ball is in the air on the halfway line, headed forward by Gallagher towards Sterling, who's lost out there to Akanji, but picked back up by Gallagher on Rodri. Palmer on the right-hand side, lifted ball in behind for Sterling, who controls it in the box but loses his footing. Cleared by Diaz to Alvarez. It's now been worked out to the left here to Ake. Tries to go forward, looking for De Bruyne, cut out by Gallagher. It's now Gusto, who's worked himself wide. Tackled by Doku, and the ball's been kept in. And he plays it down the line here for De Bruyne. Goes around the challenge of Disasi. De Bruyne away on the left-hand side, onto his right foot. Plays it through for Haaland in the box. Back to goal. And looks for the back heel into De Bruyne. Sends him wide towards the byline. And he kicks it off Caicedo for a corner. Felt like City could have got something more from that. Doku playing it forward for De Bruyne. And he's lifted it over the slide challenge of Disasi. And the ball into Haaland was a good one. But Haaland was just hadn't had his back to goal. So couldn't really touch and shoot there. Had to force it back to De Bruyne wide. And they have got a corner from it. So they can still punish Chelsea here. Cross goes in, punched by Petrovic here. Drops to Alvarez on the edge of the box. Cross goes in. Header away by Disasi. And it can be won by Walker. Heavy touch goes to Chilwell. Tries to set Sterling away in the City half, but it's a vital block there by Foden. And it's now with Rodri back out to the near side here to Alvarez. Akanji. Got Gallagher on his back and too aggressive there, Gallagher. Fouled. That's a free kick. Just from the corner, they're just showing a replay. And you might remember in the reverse game, Haaland was pulled down by Cucurella. And that resulted in a penalty. This one wasn't given, But there's definitely a bit of grappling there at the far post between Chilwell and Haaland. And Haaland did win a penalty for something similar in the reverse game, but I don't think he'll get it this time. His VAR tonight is Peter Banks. So City free kick from the foul from Gallagher and Rodri. De Bruyne is over it, about 40 yards from goal. Quite central, so the angle's a little off for De Bruyne, but he'll still try and work something. Lifts it to the far post. Haaland wins the header. Comes off the back of the head of Gallagher, then volleyed away by the left boot of Gusto. Jackson beats Doku to it. Bit isolated up front though, Jackson, so loses out to Rodri. Then Doku in a central area. Brought down by Caicedo. Referee sees it as a fair challenge. Colwill clears for Chelsea up to the halfway line to Jackson, who moves it away from De Bruyne, but he's been followed there by Diaz. And the last touch comes off the Portuguese centre-back, throwing for Chelsea on halfway on the near side. So Chilwell with the throw-in into his own half to Levi Colwill, who assisted a Brighton goal last season against Manchester City. It was in the 1-1 draw in May. You might remember the Julio Enciso goal, arrowed it into the top corner. I think it was put for the Puskas goal of the goal of the year award. I think that Enciso shot against City, but it was assisted by Colwill, who spent last season on loan at Brighton, and then signed a new 6-year deal here at Chelsea until 2029 in August of last year. City on the ball, halfway line, Akanji. All Chelsea players currently behind the ball as he shifts it to his left there to Ruben Diaz, who's got the same amount of Premier League goals as he has league titles. 3 Premier League goals for Ruben Diaz. Didn't score any last season. And in the Premier League, did just get the 1 goal last season. Ruben Diaz, that came in the Champions League group stages to Sevilla. He's still on the ball here on the halfway line, Ruben Diaz. Finds Rodri to his left 5 yards. Strides past Gallagher. Looks out towards the right-hand side, but he's clipped down by Caicedo. Free kick for Manchester City, midway side the Chelsea half. Just didn't time the tackle right there, Moises Caicedo. Just bringing down Rodri. Bringing down Doku there. And then bringing down Rodri. But they're showing a tackle previously which Caicedo made on Doku, and then the ball was free to be won, and Caicedo got there and kind of kicked through Doku, leaving a little bit of a late one on the Belgian. He puts a cross into the far post, flicked away for Chelsea, recovered for City by Akanji, back into his own half here to Walker, who just about shifts it to Ederson before Nicholas Jackson can take it off him. Close one there from Kyle Walker. Good pressing there from Nicholas Jackson, who came off the bench in 4 games at AFCON before Senegal were knocked out. Scored 12 La Liga goals last season. Nicholas Jackson, 9 in his last 8. He's currently got 7 league goals this season in England, so 5 off his tally from last campaign when he was at Villarreal. Diaz. Down the City left, goes forward to Doku, inside to Alvarez, back to the halfway line to Rodri, to his left 5 yards to Ake. It's now with Diaz in the left back position. Goes across to Rodri. All Chelsea players behind the ball as he takes on Jackson. Back with Ake again, who spent 6 years at Chelsea. And it's on his 29th birthday today. Nathan Ake. Tomorrow, sorry. His 29th birthday for Nathan Ake. As it's City starting to gain a bit of control of this game at the moment. In the last 5 minutes or so. Rodri turns away from Gallagher. Still down the City left. They try and work it through. And they find Doku. Back towards Diaz. Midway side the Chelsea half. He has got the runs forward. De Bruyne quickly flicks it in towards Alvarez in the box, who can't quite get the shot away before Disasi clears it. Straight to Jackson. In the centre circle. Sterling's to his left. Finds him. Sterling takes it away from Walker. Lays it off for Enzo Fernandez. Just goes behind Chilwell, but it does work itself to the Chelsea captain for tonight's game. And they're in the Manchester City half on the ball with Chilwell. Enzo Fernandez lifts the ball in behind. Sterling will get there. He's in behind. Sterling with Ederson. Can't quite take it on. I don't know if the flag went up there on Sterling. I think it was kept down, but the touch got away from him. It was an easy save for Ederson in the end as Doku striding away in the box on his right foot. Doku with the shot. It's straight at Petrovic. Poor that from Jeremy Doku. But I think it was even poorer from Sterling, who timed his run. Would have been close. VAR would have had to be called upon. But as he entered the box, his touch was just too heavy. Straight to Ederson. He's always struggled with that. Raheem Sterling, those one-on-one situations with the goalkeeper. And again, he's failed to capitalise on a good opportunity there for Chelsea. As Ederson plays the ball forward into Rodri on the halfway line. He's got Gallagher chasing him behind, but goes out to the right to Foden. Kanji. Just inside the City half. Forward to Rodri. Ake on the left. And Nathan Ake, in his first 2 seasons in the Premier League for Manchester City, he had 24 appearances combined in the league. That's changed now. He got 26 Premier League appearances in the whole of last season. As Doku couldn't quite keep the ball in play in the final third there on the City left wing. So it's a throw-in for Chelsea in their defensive third here. So need to be careful they don't lose the ball in this kind of area. So it is Gusto to take this throw in the right back area for Chelsea. Taking his time, but eventually throws it down the right-hand side, helped on by the head of Fernandez, straight to a City player, then forward to De Bruyne, brought down from behind by Caicedo. And that'll be a yellow card and a free kick. Ball went forward to De Bruyne, who flicked it on ahead of Caicedo, who then went through the Belgian midfielder. And I think that's more of an accumulation of fouls there from Moises Caicedo. He's been on the end of a couple of heavy tackles in the opening 35 minutes. But it was good intelligence from De Bruyne to get his body in front of Caicedo and flick that ball on to ignite the contact and win the free kick and also get the player booked as well. So on the City left, De Bruyne stood over it again with Foden. De Bruyne runs over it again. Foden to deliver with pace towards Ake. Header away by Colwill on the 6-yard box line. Out to Gallagher in a left-back position. Goes long with the clearance. Aiming towards Sterling. And it'll be De Bruyne who's back at right back to get there ahead of Sterling. And get the ball to Ederson. Good defensive work there from Kevin De Bruyne. As it is with Rodri in the Manchester City half, the number 16, who scored his first ever goal against Chelsea in the 4-4 draw. A goal which, for City, thought they had won them the game. It was to make it 4-3 to City in the 86th minute, but they conceded 9 minutes later through a Cole Palmer penalty, which ended the game all square at 4-4. Walker, ball over the top for Haaland, tries to bring it down there, but it might run loose in the box to Alvarez. Can't quite beat Petrovic to it. Changing up their City, going a bit longer, over the top. Couldn't quite be plucked out from the air there from Erling Haaland. Disasi clears it, controlled by Gallagher. Held back there by Diaz, free kick for Chelsea, taken quickly to the edge of the box here to Colwill. He's got options out wide to his left. Chilwell's one of them. Goes inside towards Sterling instead. Misplaced pass. Picked up by Akanji. Quickly forward to Haaland. Shifts it for Rodri. Goes over the challenge of Sterling. Free kick for Manchester City. About 10 yards inside the Chelsea half. Goes across to Diaz on the halfway line. It's now with Ake on the far side. Quickly forward to Doku. 1-on-1 with Gusto. Doubled up on with Palmer alongside Gusto. Plays the ball back to Ake. It's now Rodri. Lifts the ball out towards the right-hand side. Perfect weight. Perfect control with the chest from Foden. Then back here to Walker. As the game slowed down and stopped and Walker kicks it out. As Conor Gallagher is currently struggling at the moment. Just holding his left ankle. City weren't really in a swing of play there. So they were happy just to kick the ball out of play. It wasn't like they were building much momentum with the pass there, as it was just Kyle Walker on the ball, who was one of the furthest back for Manchester City. But Gallagher's not required treatment, so he'll stay on the pitch and he'll continue for the moment. Chelsea's number 23. It will be a Chelsea throw, but I presume they will throw it back to Manchester City. So back underway, and it's been played back to Edison, so City regain the ball again after kicking the ball out of play for Gallagher, just to see how that injury was feeling on his left ankle, but he's okay. And it's City on the ball inside their own half on the far side of Ake. It goes across to Diaz, who we've got Chelsea presses slightly high here, with Jackson and Gallagher as the two forward pressers. Doku on halfway. Moves away from Gusto. Across towards Akanji. Referee was in the way. And it'll be a drop ball here for City with the ball on the halfway line of the pitch. Rodri. Switch that ball to the right to Foden. Brings it down. 1-on-1 with Chilwell. Finds Walker, who's coming as full-back support. Goes inside to Akanji. Ball out to the right to Foden, who chases it late, but can still win a throw-in. Kicked away by Chilwell. Just didn't quite latch onto the fact that Akanji was looking for Foden there. He ended up chasing the ball quite late, but did win a throw-in, which they've worked to Walker in the final third. Goes back here into De Bruyne, and then to the halfway line to Diaz. It's now with Ake in the centre circle. Ake for Rodri. He's got Jackson following him behind. It's now with Diaz again. Kanji to Alvarez. Now with Doku on the far side. Got everything to his right here, Doku. Lays it off behind him to Alvarez. Midway inside the Chelsea half. Alvarez bursts forward. Then lays it off for Ake. Diaz is again, as mentioned, the last 10 minutes, City have just started to gain a control of this match in possession. But Chelsea have still had slight opportunities on the counter-attack. Rodri twisting and turning away from Gallagher, eventually being brought down by Gallagher. Free kick for City. Walker on the near side, bringing the ball forward, not got much support with him. Goes back to De Bruyne, to the edge of the box to Foden, who can get away from Colwill, but then it's sliced by Chilwell in the box. Header away by Gusto, but that's not a great header. Well, as far as Doku, who loses out to Palmer, eventually volleyed away by Gusto. As it's brought down by Ake on the City left. He can get away from Palmer, brought down from behind by Cole Palmer eventually, and it will be a Manchester City free kick. Well, won there by Nathan Ake. Taken short to Rodri. Back out to the left there to De Bruyne. Lifts it through for Alvarez. Cooks it across. Comes off the chest of Fernandez and cleared by Gusto. Cut out by De Bruyne for the moment. But the loose touch drops to Jackson. 1-2 with Palmer. Sterling's over on the far side. He tries to find him. He does perfectly. Sterling in the box against his former side. On his right foot. Raheem Sterling puts it into the bottom right corner. And Chelsea on the break take the lead at the Etihad. He scored in the reverse game at the Bridge, Raheem Sterling. And he's back once again to haunt his former side. He had so many fantastic memories here as a Manchester City player. But now he's writing new ones as a Chelsea player. And we were talking about how City were in control of the game for the last 10 minutes. But Chelsea were still alive on the counter-attack. And that's where they've brought their real A-game so far. Every counter-attack they've had, they've looked really dangerous, but just haven't quite took the opportunity until now. But Sterling in the box, receiving the ball. We know on that left side, He wants it on his right, and he did just that. Chopped beyond Walker, who committed a bit too much for Manchester City's liking, allowing Sterling to beat his man. And Ederson came out to close the angle, but he wrapped it around the goalkeeper into that far right corner. Pep Guardiola is beyond frustrated with the way his side's conceded. And right before the break, it's City 0, Chelsea 1, Raheem Sterling with the goal. But City want to respond quickly. De Bruyne entering the box, finding Foden, turning, shooting, blocked by Colwill. Drops out to Akanji, who puts it in the area towards Doku. Strikes it left-footed, it goes across towards Haaland, cut out, I think, by Disasi. And it remains 1-0 here, but City want an equaliser before the break. Doku tries to move himself away from Palmer. Finds Alvarez, who's running across the pitch here. Finding Diaz. It's now out to De Bruyne on the angle. Bit of a loose touch. Loses out to Sterling. Goes back to Chilwell. Forward to Fernandes. His pass deflects, I believe, off De Bruyne. Or was it straight out of play? Not too sure. I think it was straight out of play. So it'll be a Manchester City throw-in on the near side. Deep in the Chelsea half, where they won it, but they've gone back to the halfway line here to Ake. It was Manchester City who took the lead in the reverse game between these two. It's now Chelsea who have took the lead in this one. Foden in the final third. 1-on-1 with Sterling. Works onto his left foot. Cross. It's a wicked one towards Haaland at the far post. And it had to be flipped behind by Disasi with his head. Good defending from the 25-year-old. Inviting ball from Foden. And you think Haaland probably would have scored there at the far post if it had reached him. As Manchester City want an instant response here. Corner goes in. Flicked on! Cleared off the line. And Haaland's the one to head over and wide. Absolute chaos from the corner. It was Disasi who nearly headed it into his own goal there. The one who gave away the corner. It was Jackson, actually. Oh, it's a vital block again from Disasi. Jackson at the near post flicked it towards his own goal. Cleared off the line by Disasi. That fell to Haaland, who had a header at the far post. Tried to guide it towards the goal himself, but just got under the header. And over the bar it went. And Chelsea survivor scare from the set piece. So 3 minutes added on at the end of this first 45. Header flicked on there by Caicedo from the goal kick. Reaches Akanji before Jackson. It's now on the edge of the box with Diaz. Goes to the right here to Akanji. And then back to Ederson once again. Bringing the ball forward here, Ederson. Outside of his box. Allowing Diaz to take over. It's now with Ake at left back. Diaz to Ake. Into the midfield to Rodri. Across the ball goes now to Akanji, who's got runners forward here. Goes out to the left here to Doku. Just goes beyond Cole Palmer. Doku. Inside to Rodri. 1-2. Doku. Ball across. Disasi there to clear again. Met by another celebration from the centre-half. And it's a throw-in on the far side for City. Taken quickly now with Doku on the ball. Beyond Palmer on the byline. Goes inside to Rodri. Lays it off. Alvarez. Touch. Shoots. And he can't catch it. I think it may have took a nick off Fernandes. I'm not too sure. Let's have a look. Alvarez with the touch. Shot did come off Enzo Fernandez. That should be a corner kick. And it will be on the near side for an outswinging Kevin De Bruyne goal. De Bruyne goes short to Alvarez. Doesn't meet the cross well, but it does fall to Foden, who strikes it. Deflects straight through to De Bruyne, who will lift it into the far post. Headed away by Colwill. They'll be met by Foden, who goes all the way back into the City half here to Ederson. Alvarez across the halfway line here to Diaz. Chelsea sitting strongly with their 1-goal lead. Alvarez, just on the City right side, goes back to Walker on halfway as he was being closed down there by Sterling. So left back now with Ake. forward for Doku. Burst in past Gusto. Having to try and take him on again. Doku goes back instead to Ake in the final third, who will deliver the ball in towards Haaland. Heads it towards goal. De Bruyne is asking for a corner. I don't think he'll receive one. Good ball in from Ake with that left foot. And he found the header Haaland, who was looking to the bottom right corner. I don't think it took any nick off Colwill. And it's a rightly given goal kick, as it looks like City are going to go in behind at the break. It's Poch's record against Pep isn't a great one. 4 wins in 23, 2 in his last 9. Just 1 win in the Premier League against Pep. And that came in October 2016 as Spurs boss. As it's Petrovic to clear it forward. Flicked on by Jackson. Cleared by Diaz towards Doku on the left-hand side. Tries to turn Gusto. Swept up though by Disasi, who turns Doku, plays it forward to Gusto. And Andy Madley, the referee, blows for half-time here at the Etihad. And it's Manchester City 0, Chelsea 1. It's their former player, Raheem Sterling, with the goal that separates the two sides. The goal was scored in the 42nd minute. But before that, Chelsea have had chances of their own. They were well within the game. Having chances on the break. Their biggest one was through Jackson, as he went one-on-one with Edison, but it was saved by the Brazilian. City had had chances of their own as well. Haaland heading over the crossbar early on in the game. Alvarez also striking wide. But for the previous 10 minutes before the goal, we'd mentioned how City were starting to dominate the possession, but Chelsea were still there on the counter-attack to be dangerous, and dangerous was exactly what they were. The ball broke in the Chelsea half for Cole Palmer, who played it in behind the City defence. And the ball was played across to Sterling by Jackson. And Sterling on the left wing position, cut inside on his right foot, beating his former teammate Kyle Walker. And as Edison came out to close down the angle, Sterling just curled it into that bottom right corner. Very well placed. It showed a lot of composure from Sterling. And as he wheeled away in a muted celebration, it gave Chelsea a lead, and they've seen that through to half-time here. And at the Etihad, it is Manchester City 0, Chelsea 1. Again, good performance from Chelsea. Their last 3 games now have been away from home, and they've won the last 2. They were really impressive against Aston Villa. They came back from behind against Crystal Palace, and again, they've shown how they can be very resolute defensively, dealing with this City attack, but also leaving themselves in the game through the counter-attack. And the counter started off with the main defence-splitting pass with Palmer, but then it was very forward-thinking from Nicholas Jackson to get his head up and play it across to Sterling, who was the one to finish the move off. For Raheem Sterling, that is his 6th goal in the league this season. He hadn't scored in his last 9 in the league, the last 9 that he'd played in. So he was going on a bit of a drought in front of goal. Raheem Sterling, his most recent goal came in the FA Cup against Preston, but now he's back on the score sheet at the Etihad Stadium, a team that he'd spent so long at here. Scored 91 league goals for Manchester City in 225 appearances. He scored 131 goals for them altogether. But since leaving in July 2022 for Chelsea, it's not really been the career he would have wanted at the London club. But he scores his 8th goal of the season in all competitions. It's now 17 for Chelsea altogether since making that move from City. And I'm going to go for half-time, and I'll be back for the second half, so I'll be back shortly. As it is at half-time, Manchester City 0, Chelsea 1. Hello, we are back for the second half of Manchester City against Chelsea. Currently 1-0 to the visitors. A Raheem Sterling goal right before the break in the 42nd minute, scoring his third goal against Manchester City in his career. Raheem Sterling, his first at the Etihad as an opposition player. Of course, he scored plenty of goals at the Etihad previously, Raheem Sterling. Talk about his stats just before we went for the half-time break there. Scored plenty of Manchester City goals, but he is no longer their player and he's come back to haunt his side. Did score in the reverse fixture as well. Raheem Sterling, he made it 2-1 to Chelsea. That was the only time that Chelsea had the lead in that 4-4 game. After it went to 2-1 to Chelsea, then went 2-2 at half-time, and City went 3-2 up, then 3-3, then 4-3 to Manchester City, then eventually 4-4. But it was just a little bit... just something wasn't quite clicking for Manchester City. They were getting in good opportunities. I think the best for me was that Haaland header, where he tried to get it right into that top right corner, a little bit too precise with the header. They also nearly scored from an own goal. De Bruyne's cross into the box near the end of the half. I think that was at 0-0, I'm pretty sure, where Nicholas Jackson at the near post flicked it behind him and nearly into his own goal if it wasn't for Disasi, who was able to head away off the line. But City are back out. Not sure if changes will be made, because Guardiola is one of those managers who doesn't like to change a lot unless it is very needed. He's usually one of those players who just allows the starting 11 out there to almost solve their own problems. So I don't think there is any changes that I can see as we're getting Chelsea now back out for the second half. I wonder what Mauricio Pochettino has had to say. As against Crystal Palace, that was his 280th Premier League game as a manager, picking up his 142nd win. But for Pochettino, he has won against Manchester City with 3 different clubs. He beat City at Southampton. It was his first win against Manchester City. It was a 3-1 victory back in February 2013. He's obviously beat City with Spurs against Pep Guardiola, then also beat Manchester City at PSG in the Champions League group stages a couple of seasons ago. And now he's looking to try and get a win against them as Chelsea boss. As we're back underway, City kicking off right to left. Chelsea left to right here at the Etihad Stadium, as this will be a huge result in the title race. This would help out Liverpool massively, who are currently 5 points clear. And City would only have the one game in hand, which is being played in the week against Brentford on Wednesday. So it would mean defeat tonight would mean that City could only close the gap to 2. But a win tonight and a win on Wednesday would mean they go 2 points top. So it could really swing either way here for Manchester City at the moment, in terms of the title in the next game and a half they've got to play. There's Doku on the left-hand side, running at Caicedo, away from the challenger Gusto. Still Doku, outside the box, now enters the area, tries to go on the outside of Caicedo, it works, it gets crossed in, deflects to the edge of the box towards De Bruyne, who works it here now to Walker on the right-hand side. It's now Diaz, who's furthest back for City, clips out to the left here to Doku. Alvarez has made a run ahead of him. Doku goes to the edge of the box instead to Rodri, who is clipped on the edge of the box. Caicedo's already booked. Don't think it's enough for a second yellow, but it's definitely something that the referee's got to bear in mind. Caicedo conceded another free kick there, right on the edge of the box, just to the left-hand side, so it's more of an angle for a right-footed attempt, but it's very close. It's around 19, 20 yards out, so it'll be a task for whoever takes it to get it up and over the wall and get it under the crossbar. But if anyone can do it, it is surely Kevin De Bruyne, who places the ball down, and it will be the Belgian to strike at goal here for Manchester City. Hey, how's it going? It's going okay. I'm going well at the moment. Like I say, I've triple captained Erling Haaland in fantasy football, and he's obviously not scored yet. So I would like some Haaland goals. That would make my day a lot better. But it's De Bruyne, who I've also got, over this free kick, wanting to score against his former side for the 6th time. So De Bruyne, right-footed, strikes it towards the goalkeeper's side, and it rips the roof of the net. He's looking for that top right corner. Petrovic seemed unmoved, really. Didn't commit one way or the other. And De Bruyne just couldn't quite get it underneath that crossbar, hitting the roof of the net. It was a blowout of the cheeks there from Petrovic as he was relieved to see that ball go over the crossbar. It's Chelsea part from the back. It's now with right back Gusto. Heads it forward here. Looking towards the run of Fernandes. Cleaned up by Ake. Poor ball forward. Won by Gusto. Loses out to Doku, who wants an option. He needs to pass it quickly. Finds De Bruyne on the left. Doku's made a run off him, but it'll be De Bruyne to cross it instead. Header won by Disasi towards the penalty spot. It'll be collected here by Alvarez. Back into the centre circle now with Akanji. He works it to the left here to Ake. Midway side the Chelsea half here. Goes forward to Doku, who's got Palmer in front of him. Onto his right foot. Doku crosses. It's a teasing ball in, but no one's there to attack it. Haaland seemed to get into a bit of a melee with Colwill. And then it was Foden trying to get in at the far post. But the power of the cross was just too much for Foden. Couldn't get on the end of it. Goes through for a Chelsea goal kick. Captain Foden today, but I've got Haaland and KDB. Yeah, I've got Foden, Haaland and De Bruyne as well. But I've triple captained Haaland because I thought, why not? Just go for it. As Petrovic from the goal kick. Kicks it straight out of play. He was looking for the right back of Gusto. Went over the Frenchman's head. Throwing for City in the Chelsea half. Just inviting early pressure here. The away side. Alvarez through to Rodri. Out to the right here to De Bruyne. On once more for Foden. It deflects behind him, but he can keep it away from Chilwell. Foden. De Bruyne. Through for Walker, who's been tripped by Sterling. Or did he trip Sterling? It went the other way. Walker's absolutely furious. It will be checked by VAR. It was a ball through from De Bruyne to Walker in the box. Who caught who? Sterling got in front of Walker. I think he's got it right there. Yeah, it looks like Walker's tripped Sterling. VAR will check it. Walker's adamant that it was the other way around, but it just looks like it's Walker who almost puts his leg in front of Sterling to trip him over. Obviously not intentionally, but yeah, for me, I don't think that is a penalty. I think he's got the right decision there, the referee, Andy Madley. Boy, it's positive signs from City in the opening 5 minutes. Guardiola's certain it's a penalty, but it's almost just a bit of a coming together. They both collide into each other, really. There's Jackson on the left wing here, just outside the box. Squares it here to Fernandes, 25 yards out. Plays it to Palmer. He's got Doku in front of him. Finds Gusto. Everything to his left. Plays it forward towards the byline to Palmer. Got his back to goal here. He turns and works a crossing. Headed away by Walker. Volleyed on by De Bruyne. Controlled by Haaland. Back heel to Alvarez, who takes it forward. And he deflects it through for De Bruyne. Foden marauding forward in front of him. Finds him just out wide to the right. Colwill's chasing him. He goes for an early cross to Haaland on the volley. And wide it goes. It was a quick counter-attack from City, which couldn't be finished off by Haaland. It had its elements of luck to it, with the Alvarez deflection through to De Bruyne, who then found Foden, and as he entered the 18-yard box, he put the cross into the far post to Haaland, who completely sliced it well wide of the post in the end. I think it's Alvarez there tackled, and Chelsea can break. Gallagher out to Palmer on the right, just inside the City half. Gusto's got forward, doesn't use the run with the pass. Eventually finds him, though. And it's now back on the halfway line here to Conor Gallagher. And it's definitely been a dangerous start from City. But Chelsea are surviving so far. Sterling on the turn. Finds Jackson in the centre circle. Akanji's tight to him. Doesn't foul him, though. And he can move it here to Colwill. It's now with Chilwell. Midway side the City half. Plays it down the line for Jackson. And I think he's onside. Diaz just dropping a little bit too deep there for City. Jackson squares it. Gallagher strikes it. And it goes straight out of play for a goal kick, I believe. Pretty poor that from Diaz. Just sitting a bit deeper there. Worried about the run of Sterling. And he's onside there, Jackson. Enters the box. Goes for the cutback. Finds Gallagher. But the shot went straight out of play for a goal kick. Now Ake brings it forward from left back. Now with Doku. Goes on the inside here. Trying to get away from Gusto. Goes back into Rodri. Deflected ball to Diaz. It's now with Akanji, who scored at Stamford Bridge in these two games, in the game before, when these two sides met. Made it 2-2 right before half-time. It's now Foden. Quite a lot of room on the far side. Inside the Chelsea half here. Plays it through for De Bruyne. This is where he's dangerous. Crosses it. It's a lifted one. Goes over Gusto. And it'll be collected here by Doku, who's been forced away from goal. As I think the cross took a slight deflection there from De Bruyne. And he gets it again on the right-hand side. He's on the angle for that cross that he'll put in towards Haaland. It deflects over him. And it's now with Doku on the near side here. One-on-one with Palmer. Ake's overlapping. Back heels it towards him. Ake crosses. It deflects off Palmer. I think for a corner. So a set piece for City. I decided to use a free hit. And put in all the double game players. Yeah, I think I forgot to do that. I think I forgot I had a free hit. So that's definitely a clever option for sure. Yeah, I've got some Liverpool and City players in my team. De Bruyne crosses near post, flicked on by Rodri. Not dealt with by Disasi, but thankfully his loose clearance, drops straight to Jackson. And Sterling's making a run through and in behind. It's just overhit again. I'm not sure if Sterling was still on. It would have been tight. But again, the Jackson pass isn't accurate enough. A couple of times that's happened now. Nicholas Jackson not being able to find the right pass. De Bruyne volleys it through towards Doku. Well intercepted by Gusto. Plays it inside towards Caicedo, who shifts it forward ahead of De Bruyne to Palmer. As we're on the near side for Chelsea. Inside their own half with Palmer. Finds Enzo Fernandez in the midfield. To Gallagher. Away from Diaz. Loses out to Walker, but he was being pulled back there by Diaz. So Gallagher will win the free kick in his own half. As we've got it with Gallagher in the centre circle. Switches it out with a ball floated out to Chilwell on the left-hand side. 10 yards inside the City half. It's Sterling. Back to the halfway line to Fernandez. It's now with Disasi. Forward for Palmer. Nutmegs Alvarez. Palmer's looking forward now. And he finds Gusto on the right. First time cross. It's dangerous. It's towards goal. Big save Ederson. Chilwell on the rebound through Ederson. Cleared by Diaz. And it'll be seen through. Oh, he wants to see it through for a corner, but he'll have to keep it in because it won't deflect out for a corner. It's now with Enzo Fernandez. He's got Chilwell making a run. Finds him. Byline. Works across. All the way through. Gusto touches. Can't work this shot because Ake was there to close it down. It's now back out with the right back of Gusto. Real opportunity here for Chelsea. Big save from Ederson. I'm not sure if it was Walker or Sterling who deflected it towards goal. But whoever got that touch, it forced a big save from Ederson. It's probably the best chance of the half yet. And it's Chelsea the one who wants to double their lead. And they've still got it. On the opposite flank this time now with Chilwell. Midway inside the City half. It's back on the halfway now with Colwill. Huge opportunity there for Chelsea. And if it was Sterling, he'd come ever so close to scoring a brace there. Disasi. Forward to Palmer. Out to the right for Gusto. This is a good spell of possession for the away side. Fernandez. Ball out to the right. No one's really making the run for it. Jackson ran the opposite direction. Can be dealt with by Diaz on the edge of his box. And it's now with the right back of Kyle Walker. Rodri. Just about shifts it away from a pressing Gallagher. Lifting it over the trailing leg. It's now Rodri looking for his options. Being closed down very aggressively by Gallagher, but he can shift it onto Ake. It's now with Doku on this near side. Charging inside, laying it off to Ake again. Then back through for Doku. In the corner of the box on the left-hand side. Wants it on his right foot. Goes on the outside instead. Doku squares it. Blocked off at the near post by Disasi, who brings it away from Haaland. Disasi on the corner flag. Goes over the challenger Haaland, and that's going to be a throw for City. Not seen as enough for a free kick there for Disasi. And it's now with Alvarez on the left-hand side. And it's Diaz. Back to the halfway line here to Walker. How did your team do? I'll have a look now. I think I did get a few points from players who aren't on double game weeks, I think. Get it up for you now. So, City attack again. Out to the left to Doku, who's had plenty of these scenarios in the game. Squares it here for Rodri. On the edge of the box. Works away from Gallagher. Rodri wants to shoot. Brought down by Gallagher. Finds Akanji. Fierce pass into Doku. Not great touch. Hooked away by Gusto. Thrown for City in the final third. Really thought that Rodri were going to let fly then. Walker out to the far side now to Foden. He's got De Bruyne in support. Finds Rodri instead. It's now with De Bruyne. Rodri in a right wing position. Plays it across to the left to Ake. Patient play here from Manchester City. It's now with Doku again. One-on-one with Cole Palmer. Doku outside the area. Bursting beyond Palmer. Been having to take him on again as Palmer recovers. Then goes back into Ake. De Bruyne. Ake to Doku in the final third. Everything to his right here for the Belgian winger. Rodri. Got Nicholas Jackson really putting the pressure on him, but he shifts it to his right to Walker. Forward for Foden. Chilwell meets him. Foden keeps it moving to De Bruyne. Out to Walker, who's got space. Takes a touch. Crosses the ball in. Header won by Colwill. Commanding header. All as far as Ake, 25 yards out. Finds Akanji. Back now into Diaz. Who curls the ball out to the right to Walker. Brings it down well. Goes back into De Bruyne on the angle. Doesn't have space for a cross. Switches it out to the left instead with his left foot to Doku. Brilliant ball from De Bruyne. Doku to Ake. Gets beyond a slipping Gallagher. And lifts it back off to Doku. Plays it through for Akanji. Who squares it. Blocked by Enzo Fernandez and cleared. Just not quite opening up for Manchester City with those clear-cut chances at the moment. As Diaz keeps it away from Jackson. Plays it down the line for Ake. Turns on Palmer. It's brilliant from Ake as he's pulled down. Free kick for City in the Chelsea half. As Palmer's booked for kicking the ball away. Doesn't seem too disgruntled by it there. Palmer accepts the punishment. But for my fantasy team, I've got Saliba with clean sheet points. I've got a Luis Diaz assist. I had Solanke and Watkins, which was nice as well. 19 points between them two. As we are just over the hour mark here at the Etihad. Chelsea still hold on to their lead of 1-0. Last season in the Premier League, Manchester City beat Chelsea home and away by 1-0. Sorry, I didn't know you actually remembered that I supported Stockport. Apologies for the confusion. I didn't think you knew I supported them. Apologies. Well, you know my fantasy team anyway. Sorry. Doku crosses, back post, Foden volleys, blocked by Disasi, drops for Haaland, it's blocked again and cleared by Caicedo. Headed forward by Diaz. It's now out to the right to De Bruyne. He's got Sterling closing him down. Last touch off Sterling, thrown for City. Doku with the great cross. It was a decent volley from Foden. He caught it well. Eyes on the ball at all times. It was blocked by Disasi. Fell for Haaland on the 6-yard line. And it was well blocked by Colwill and eventually dealt with. It's now Foden on the right. Final third. Charging. Playing it through. De Bruyne lifts it to the far post. Headed away by Gusto. Controlled by the Chester Rodri. Foden takes over on the edge of the box. He wants to shoot. Doesn't have the space for it. It's now with Doku. Back through for Foden. Lays it off. Rodri with the shot. And it's ballooned and goes over and wide of the post. City are knocking on that door. They're not even knocking. They're slamming on that door. But they're not getting an answer. And that final strike from Rodri was poor with his weak foot. Couldn't wrap his foot around it. It's alright, still remember from the playoff game last season. Wow, I actually commentated on Stockport County next month against Salford. They're on Sky. And I can't go to the game because I couldn't get a ticket because I haven't been to enough away games, unfortunately. But no, I feel like you've asked me that because you know how bad we did. And if you didn't know, then you're going to find out how bad we did. I didn't watch the game, but yeah, we got beat 4-0 at Tranmere. So, not the greatest Stockport County result of all time. But we're still top of the league. Mansfield lost, so it's all right. But yeah, not our brightest day. I've never seen us being beat by that much under Challoner. I think that's the heaviest defeat under Challoner since we've had him. So, what can you do? You have your off days, and you can't do anything about it. And I just want to forget it because we've got Gillingham away on Tuesday, which won't be much easier. But yeah, back onto this game because I want to completely forget about my team losing 4-0. As it's City to build up the attack. It's with Foden on the right. Walker's now joining in these attacks more frequently. He's got the run of Walker ahead of him. Finds him. Walker with a cross. Comes off Chilwell. It will fall in the left-back position for Fernandes for Chelsea, who keeps it in and kicks it off Foden. Wins the throw-in well. Chelsea are going to make a change here. It's going to be an attacker coming on. I presume it's going to be a like-for-like change. It's going to be Raheem Sterling, the current match winner. He's been a bit quiet this second half, Sterling, just mainly due to the fact that Chelsea have done so much defending. And he'll be replaced here by number 18, Christopher Nkunku, who is coming on for his 9th Chelsea appearance. He has the 2 goals for them, both in the Premier League and both away from home to Wolves and Liverpool. But it is Raheem Sterling. His goal in the 42nd minute separates the two sides. Coming back to haunt his former side, Raheem Sterling. And he'll be replaced with Nkunku. Signed in the summer from RB Leipzig for £52 million. And Bernardo Silva did come off against Copenhagen with a slight little injury scare, but Pep Guardiola said he's fine, and he's going to be more than fine because he's going to come on for the last half an hour or so. Replaced by Alvarez, who has just been off it today. I feel like with Alvarez, he's either really in the game or he's really out of it. And today was one of them where he couldn't quite get in the game enough. And he's been replaced by a more natural central midfielder of Bernardo Silva, who comes into this game off the back of a goal he scored right before half-time at Copenhagen to make it 2-1. Long throwing for Chelsea, picked up by Nkunku, but pass it back towards Caicedo, but it's gone to Doku instead. Plays it through. Erling Haaland with the strike. It deflects off Disasi and then saved by Petrovic at the near post. As soon as Doku played the pass, you felt that was going to be a goal. Short to Doku from the corner, who strikes it. Oh, that is awful. Doesn't catch it at all. So high and wide that it goes more towards the corner flag than the goal itself. But Doku picked up the ball after Nkunku's pass back to Caicedo was poor. And you just thought it was only going to be one result, and that was a corner. That was a goal for City, but it resulted in a corner instead. Blocked by Disasi, then saved by Petrovic, who clears it long here for Chelsea. Headed forward on halfway by Diaz. Collected by De Bruyne. His touch towards Haaland's nowhere near him. It's now with Caicedo in the midfield to Chelsea. Hooked out wide right by Gallagher to Palmer. Completes the 1-2. And Gallagher's in behind. And Nkunku's across. I think he's offside. And Nkunku gets it in the box. Shoots. Blocked. Drops. Fernandes with the strike instead. Jackson got in the way. Or was it the other way round? I think Fernandes got in the way of Jackson. And it skied over the crossbar. No flag went up there on Nkunku. I thought he was ahead of the ball there. So another big chance for Chelsea if he was actually onside. But what switch that is. Rodri to Doku. Final third. Can't take on Gusto, who's on a booking. And them two will battle for the ball. And Gusto goes over. And that'll be a free kick. Knows what he's doing there, Malo Gusto. Going over on the challenge of Doku. Let's have a look. Gallagher's in behind. I think he's just in front of the ball, and Nkunku. The linesman was quite far off the pace of the game there. So in fairness, I don't think he saw it. So I think with VAR, that would have been disallowed possibly if Nkunku had scored. But with a quarter of the game to go, City still trail. They haven't lost here at home since November of 2022 against Brentford. Disasi clears it forward, straight to Walker at right back for City, who goes back to Ederson as he was being closed down there by Nkunku. Top of the league, I think you will win it. We stayed second in League One, late goal against Stevenage. I did see that. I saw you 1-0 win against Stevenage at home. I saw it on Twitter come up. Good win that against Stevenage. They've done well this season, in their first season back in League One under Steve Evans, who I saw signed a new deal with them at the weekend. As they go over the top towards Haaland, headed away by Colwill. It will be seen behind for a throw for City, midway side of the Chelsea half. on the far side. De Bruyne wants to take quickly, but it's not really there for him to take because there's no option. So he'll leave it for Walker, who throws it back to the halfway line now to Diaz. Thanks to everyone who's here. If you could like, subscribe, and stick around, that would be absolutely fantastic. We've got a commentary coming tomorrow at lunchtime. Brighton take on Liverpool women in the WSL. Make sure you tune in for that one. It's a very good league that I would advise everyone to check out and try and get involved in with your team if they're in the women's WSL. It's very close at the top, and it's also very tight for the Champions League places that Liverpool are chasing. City have it. Diaz, who's furthest back in an outfield department for City, goes beyond Ake as he dribbles it forward, tries to play pass for Rodri, deflects off Nkunku. It's a bit scrappy here in the midfield and eventually drops for Nkunku. Fires out wide left here to Jackson, who's beyond the halfway line now. He's got Nkunku to his right, Palmer's on the far side. Jackson striding away. One-on-one with Walker now in the final third. Gets it to the edge of the box to Fernandez, who we know can hit them. Goes to Nkunku instead, who lets it run through. And he thought Palmer was in there, but he was nowhere near the ball, and it can be collected by Ederson to Rodri. Now to Ake, into the path of Doku, who enters the Chelsea half. Palmer's done a lot of defensive work down this Chelsea right, and he's there following him again. Doku switches it out to the right to Foden, controls it well. Looks for the run of De Bruyne down the right, finds him. De Bruyne pokes it off Colwill, that's got to be a corner. It will be. Colwill thought he may have kicked that off De Bruyne, but I think it's gone straight through for a Manchester City set piece. He'll be a right-footed outswinger from De Bruyne, who scored twice and assisted 6 times since his return from injury. The ball goes in, header won by Disasi. He's been superb tonight for Chelsea at the back. You know, the most experienced one in the defensive line for Chelsea, really. Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box, works onto his left foot, strikes it, blocked by Jackson. Goes out to the City left here to Doku, midway side of the Chelsea half. He goes back to halfway to keep the ball moving here to Diaz. It's now back out to the left to Doku, who's almost taken up a left-back position here. Finds Bernardo Silva, who just peeled out to the left-hand side here for Manchester City. Across to Walker. It could just be one of those frustrating nights for Manchester City, but they don't usually happen here at home. De Bruyne plays it through towards Haaland, cut out by Colwill in the area, leaves the box with the ball, and then clears it poorly. De Bruyne picks it up. Haaland tries to help out before it's taken off him by Enzo Fernandez, who can get beyond Foden, but overruns it, and it'll be a throw-in for Manchester City. Walker takes it quickly, throws it towards De Bruyne, chested by Gallagher, all as far as Haaland, who gets it to Rodri, strikes it on the edge of the box. It's blocked by the chest of Chilwell, cleared in the end and goes straight through to the halfway line to Diaz. And City will try and build once again from the back. Walker. Rodri, everyone behind the ball at the moment for Chelsea as he tries to shrug off Nkunku, which he does successfully, and plays it through towards Foden, taken away from him by the slide challenger Chilwell. It's a throw-in in the final third for City on the far side. Is Chelsea going to make another change here? And they're going to make the change that I thought they would. Former City player Cole Palmer will be replaced by Trevor Chalobah, who's making his first appearance of the season. He's missed the entirety of this season with a thigh injury. He was on the bench for their last game against Crystal Palace, but he's on today. From the bench, Trevor Chalobah, who had interest from Bayern Munich in the summer, then had interest from Fulham in the January window, but he's stuck around and he'll probably take up that job, or it'll be a back five now for Chelsea. He just gives extra support now, extra defensive support for gusto against Doku, because it's been Palmer who's been doing that supportive work in the defensive role, and he's probably just ran out of steam, Cole Palmer. As Rodri plays out to the right to Foden here. Plays it backwards to Walker. The angle's there for the cross, and he will work the cross in. Flicked away with the head of Disasi again. And there'll be a City throw-in on the near side instead. Taken quickly here to Ake. He goes across to Diaz. As Chelsea have sacrificed a defender, an attacker for a defender. Will that work for them in this game? It's now Foden on the right wing position. Through for De Bruyne. First time cross. Looking for Haaland. It deflects into the hands of Petrovic, as it was dealt with at the near post by Colwill. De Bruyne went for it first time. It was going towards Haaland, but it was a vital block from Colwill. And it was into the hands of a very thankful George Petrovic, as the Serbian goalkeeper is looking for his third clean sheet of the season in the league. His previous two have come against Sheffield United and Fulham, but he gives the ball away there to Foden. Walker. Back out to the right to Foden, midway side the Chelsea half. On the far side, not got many options around him here, Phil Foden, but he plays it through again for De Bruyne. First time cross, lifts it onto the head of Colwill. Headed away by Chilwell, controlled by Jackson on the Chelsea left. Goes inside to Gallagher. Then in behind for Chilwell, who will keep the ball in here. The counter-attack's been the constant threat for Chelsea when they get forward. And Chilwell switches out to the right to Gusto. It's a bit of a short ball. Headed away by Ake. Will reach Doku, who kicks it off Chalobah, who will keep the ball in fact. So Chelsea stay forward in the final third with Gusto. Bit isolated as he tries to go inside there. Cut out by Diaz in the box. And so now with Doku. Plays it inside himself. It deflects down the line. It'll go through for Disasi on the halfway line for Chelsea. Forward for Caicedo. Plays a 1-2 with Gallagher. And then back into the Chelsea half here with Colwill. Petrovic in his own 18-yard box. Long ball forward towards Nkunku. Wins the header. Flag doesn't come up there for City. And the header finds Gusto. Nkunku has a hat-trick at the Etihad. When he was at RB Leipzig in the Champions League group stage a couple of seasons ago in a 6-3 defeat, he scored all 3 goals for Leipzig. So he does have a good recollection of scoring goals here, Christopher Nkunku. But I don't think he'll get many chances on goal. And from now till the end of the game, there'll be a lot of Chelsea defending. But they're currently in possession at the moment. Edge of their own box with Petrovic, the goalkeeper. Goes to the right centre-back of Disasi, who lets the ball run under his foot. Cheap throw-in to give away. And it's City's time to pounce if they can. De Bruyne throws it back here to Ake. Kills the momentum slightly because he had to wait to take the throw-in because there was no real options around him there, De Bruyne, as he plays it through the gap for Bernardo Silva. Squares it, blocked by Disasi. Bernardo Silva has it again, who crosses it, deflects into the hands of Petrovic, who rolls it out quickly to the left here to Enzo Fernandez. Bursts beyond Rodri. Enzo Fernandez plays it forward. Cut out by Walker. It's now with De Bruyne. Plays it to Rodri on his right. Rodri inside to Foden. In the box. Tries to pass. Deflects back to him. Pokes it through towards Diaz. Cut out by Nkunku. Heavy touch gives it to De Bruyne. Now Doku on the left. In the corner of the box. Squares it to the edge. To De Bruyne. Foden. Out to the left to Doku. On his right foot. Can't shoot yet. De Bruyne stayed down on the edge as he was caught as he was playing the ball to Foden. It's not a great view for City, but they've kept the possession here. Bernardo Silva on the left-hand side, outside the boot ball across the pitch to Rodri. It's now with Akanji. Across to Rodri again. Lifts it out to the left to Doku. Into the area. Squares it for Bernardo Silva. Wants to shoot. He deflects it off Caicedo. And it's a corner for City. De Bruyne is hobbling slightly as he played it to Foden. He was caught by Caicedo. Just a hand to the chest, but it may have been how De Bruyne landed, which caused him the most pain. But they need some De Bruyne magic now more than ever, as this will be a huge momentum swing in the title race for Liverpool. De Bruyne, near post, free header for Gusto, all as far as Foden. Plays it back to De Bruyne on the angle, then back through to Foden, who will not meet it ahead of Gusto. It'll be a throw-in for City. Not quite on the same wavelength there, De Bruyne and Foden. As he receives the throw-in here. De Bruyne now with it. Through for Foden. He'll reach it before it goes out. Lifts it to the far post towards Haaland, who shields the ball through for Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box, who curls it through towards Ake. You can't quite meet it. And it goes out for a goal kick. If Ake had committed from the off there, he may have got there. It seemed like he hesitated with his run as Bernardo Silva played it. And he just couldn't quite reach it in the end. And it's another Chelsea goal kick. And it's just not quite working for Manchester City at the moment. The only game that Manchester City haven't scored in was their last defeat in the league, which was Aston Villa at Villa Park on the 6th of December. They've only lost one of their last 24 in all competitions, Manchester City. But they're trailing at the moment in a game they really need to win, with the fact that Liverpool won earlier today at Brentford. Rodri across to De Bruyne. Goes down over the challenger Gallagher. Nothing given by the referee. Fernandes forward to Jackson. Tackled well by Akanji. Really strong. And City should continue despite Jackson staying down. And they have continued play. Doku running at gusto. Enters the box. On the outside. Crosses. It goes all the way through. And Colwill clears at the far post. And it's now with De Bruyne. Had to be someone attacking that for City. But no one was. De Bruyne, left-footed, cross, perfect. Haaland with the header. And over the bar from 6 yards. You cannot say City haven't had the opportunities, but they've not been at it at all with the goal scoring tonight. De Bruyne with a cross, left-footed, it's left and right. He can do it with both. Colwill lost Haaland, and it's a free header 6 yards out. Flung himself at it, diving header. Oh, it's so high over the bar, it's nowhere near. And Haaland has made Guardiola have his hands in his head. Head in his hands. And over the bar for a goal kick. And City, somehow, still haven't scored in this football match. They've got 92 goals this season, Manchester City, in all competitions in the 37 games they've played. But they're really struggling tonight to find one. Even a draw for City would leave them 4 points behind Liverpool. And with their game in hand on Wednesday, if they win that, they could only go one behind Liverpool. So if the result doesn't end in a City win, the control of the league title at the moment is in Liverpool's hands. Midway side the Chelsea half, here's Rodri. Forward for Foden. Back to Rodri in the box. Flicks it through, can't find Foden on the return. Cleared by Disasi. As far as Ake to De Bruyne. Doku. Onto his right foot. Turns onto his left. Still with Doku. Goes to De Bruyne. First time pass to Rodri. Back out to the left to Doku. Can he work across? Plays it through towards De Bruyne. Gets there at a Chalobah. Kicks it off Gallagher. Corner for City. The pressure will continue to mount. But at the moment, it's not resulted in a City goal. But that could all change with a De Bruyne cross. He'll be a right-footed in-swinger. Ball goes in, far post, Haaland loses out to Chilwell. Falls through to the edge, to the far post here to Bernardo Silva. Wants to shoot, will shoot. Bernardo Silva towards the top left corner. Couldn't curl it inside enough. And out of play goes for another goal kick. Manchester City are peppering this Chelsea goal at the moment. The Citizens have had 24 shots. But here's the key stat. 3 on target. Not been good enough. They have not worked George Petrovic enough in the Chelsea goal, and the biggest chance of all of them was for Haaland. That header from 6 yards out a few moments ago had to hit the back of the net, or minimum hit the target, and it didn't. But it's City again, as we've had for pretty much the whole of this second half, on the ball, in a right back position, with Walker. He goes across here to Ake, good touch in front of him, does slip, but can regain his footing rather quickly. It's now with Doku in the final third. Again, 1-on-1 with Gusto. This has been a constant battle in this game. Doku enters the box on his right foot. Crosses it to the far post where Haaland keeps it alive. It deflects off Chilwell to avoid Foden. Then it's cleared by Colwill. But it'll go right through to Ederson. And it'll be Chelsea to defend again. It's important that from Chilwell came off his chest as Haaland kept it from going out of play for another goal kick. Rodri can't find Haaland. Cleared by Colwill on the edge of the box. Headed forward by Akanji, chested down by Rodri. Back to Akanji on halfway, and across to Bernardo Silva on the City left. Doku's furthest left, and they find him here. City's number 11. Doku. Try to play a ball through to Bernardo Silva. Deflected off Gusto and cleared for a throw. Don't really have another change, City, that can play the role that Doku does. Is currently injured. Jack Grealish can't come on. Chelsea are going to make another change as they've got 9 minutes plus added on time. Nicholas Jackson is going to be replaced. The assist maker for the Sterling goal. He'll be replaced by central midfielder Cesare Casadei, who spent the first half of the season on loan at Leicester. And Pochettino has admitted he didn't want to recall him, but due to injuries in the Chelsea midfield, he had to be recalled for cover. And he's coming on for his second appearance of the season for Chelsea. His first was off the bench against Liverpool at Anfield. Doku. Back to Ake, midway side the Chelsea half. Rodri, across to De Bruyne. Striding forward, playing it through for Bernardo Silva. Just goes behind him, but can keep it alive. Chips it to the far post. Haaland lets it run through for Walker, who strikes it. It's blocked. Rodri shoots, deflects into the back of the net. It is a Rodri rocket that equalises for Manchester City. And with 8 minutes to play, we're all square at the Etihad. The Manchester City persistence has paid off. The Chelsea defensive wall has been broken. And it's Bernardo Silva on the left with the cross. Avoided Haaland. He let it run through for Walker, whose shot was blocked from Disasi. And around 14 yards out, with his weaker left foot, Rodri struck towards goal. It came off Trevor Chalobah, beyond the goalkeeper into the roof of the net. Was it going in without the deflection? Probably. But it definitely went in with the deflection. It will go down as a Rodri goal. And City are level here at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City 1, Chelsea 1, Rodri with the goal. It's his 7th of the season. He scored the equaliser. He scored the winner, or what thought was going to be the winner at the Stamford Bridge in the 4-4 draw. He made it 4-3 that day. This time he's equalised. And what a moment for Manchester City, who could go on and win this game now. It was a really good block from Disasi from the Walker shot at the far post, because he hit it with some pace. But no one was picking up Rodri in the box as it deflected to the Spaniard. And that's his 2nd goal against Chelsea in his career. And they're both coming back-to-back games this season. And City want the winner. Walker in the final third, forward from fullback, finding Foden. Across it goes now to Ake. Doku again. About 35 yards from goal on this near side. Goes back into Ake. Inside to Rodri. Diaz now on halfway across to Akanji. Forward for Foden, who's taking up a central area at the moment. He's been in a wide position for the majority of this game. Bernardo Silva forced it wide towards Doku. And he fouls Caicedo as he tried to knock the ball on there, Bernardo Silva. And it'll be a yellow card for the Portuguese midfielder. Just a heavy touch there, and then it was actually Caicedo to get the nick on the ball towards De Bruyne, towards Foden. And it's a yellow card for Bernardo Silva, a well-won free kick there by Caicedo. He's never picked up a victory against City in his previous 4, Caicedo, and it's looking like it's going to be another winless trip to City for the Ecuadorian as they play out to the right through the free kick. Header won by Ake, played back by Rodri to Diaz. Now in the defensive third with Ake at left back. His clearance is deflected off Gallagher. Picked up by Rodri. Loses out to Gallagher again here, Manchester City. And he's on the ball here, number 23 on the edge of the box. Goes back to the halfway line to Colwill as he was surrounded by light blue shirts. Colwill switches it out to the right. Is Gusto offside? Yes, he is. Flag goes up on the near side. Coming back from an offside position. And with 5 minutes of the 90 to play here at the Etihad, it's 1-1. Don't usually get many draws in this fixture. The last draw in the fixture before this season was in the 2014-2015 season. So we usually have a winner, but this season they've seemed to be evenly matched so far as Doku is tackled with the slide challenger Gusto in the final third. He brings it away down the Chelsea right. Not got many options around him here, Gusto. And he's tackled by Ake. It's now with Rodri to the halfway line to Akanji. Lifts it out towards the left. It deflects through to Caicedo, whose pass back is a bouncer. And it can be volleyed by Petrovic in the end. It loops into the sky. And it can be controlled by Ake. Goes back to Diaz. It's just so calm from Ake, and it's needed for City at this moment. Calmness on the ball. Now with Akanji on the City right, bringing it forward from the halfway line. Manuel Akanji laying it off to his right to Foden, who has got Walker in support. Goes to Diaz instead. Rodri out to the right to De Bruyne, who's got space on the edge of the box. He crosses. De Bruyne all the way through. Finds Doku on the near side here. Doku enters the box. Lays it off for Rodri. He's already scored once. He'll cross it instead this time. Header in the air. Second header won by Disasi. Volleyed by Nkunku on the edge of the box. It'll be retreated by Akanji on the halfway line here for City. And they'll attack again. De Bruyne. Across to Diaz. It's now with Doku again. Entering the final third. Isolated with Gusto and Cassidy. Doku keeps it at the moment. And he turns around Gusto towards the byline. Can he keep it in? He can. Really good work from Doku. Bernardo Silva helps his teammate out and takes the ball away. And now finds Ake. Back down the line here for Doku. Across to Rodri. Who loses out to Gallagher. And he can get beyond De Bruyne. Fernandes takes over on the halfway line. Finds Chilwell. Back into Fernandes. Can he find the runner Chilwell? He's straight offside. Flag will go up. Free kick for City on the far side. As we've got just over 2 minutes of the 90 to play. City have equalised through Rodri. But they need more than that if they want to go top of the league by Wednesday. They need to win this game. De Bruyne. On that right side again. Edge of the box. He'll cross it. It's a deeper one again. Bernardo Silva won't be able to keep that one in. It'll curl out for a throw-in instead. So they can try and box them in as much as possible here, Manchester City. Wasn't De Bruyne's greatest cross. Throw by Gusto to Caicedo. Chalobah will clear it long. Towards Walker. He'll be chased down by Fernandes. Walker heads it out to the right, though. It's a good touch in front of him. But again, not many options around him. Foden is there on the angle behind him. Finds him. Rodri. Back into Foden. Across to Diaz. About 30 yards from goal. Shifts it to the left here to Doku. A minute of the 90 to play. Doku's got Ake in support. Plays it to him. Back out to Doku again. Can he take on Gusto? He'll play a pass across instead to De Bruyne. Now into Akanji. On the edge of the box. Slight angle for a cross. Plays it across the box instead to Ake. Now to Doku again. Right-footed cross goes in. It has to be headed behind by Disasi. He could have seen that through for the goalkeeper, but he heard no shout. And headed it behind for a corner, which will be taken by De Bruyne. It'll be a right-footed in-swinger here. As this is tense moments for both sides. Both need the result. City more so than Chelsea for the 3 points. De Bruyne crosses, far post. Haaland heads it down and straight into the hands of Petrovic. Another chance goes missing for Manchester City. And we don't say this often, but Erling Haaland hasn't been on it today. And there'll be only 4 minutes added on. Not too long left for Manchester City to snatch a winner here at the Etihad. Gusto crosses to the far post to Cassidy. Heads it inside towards Nkunku, who turns and shoots. Doesn't quite catch it. Straight into the hands of Ederson. The attack needs to happen quickly for Manchester City. He rolls it out to the left here to Ake. Slowly brings the ball forward. Then switches it out to Walker on the right. Pass forward into the City half, finding De Bruyne. Ball into the box, straight through to the goalkeeper. He was aiming for Foden and Haaland, but it couldn't reach either of them. But again, Chelsea can't make it stick up front. Nkunku loses out to Nkanji. And it's now out to the right to Walker. Less than 3 minutes to play. Foden back out to De Bruyne. The cross needs to be right. To the far post to Doku. Heads it inside. It's loose and it's a hurried clearance away by Cassidy. He'll chase it down, but Ake will win the header and he's caught by Cassidy. And it's a free kick for City with 2.5 minutes to play. Ake back to his feet quickly. And it's a City free kick on the left-hand side. They'll go short. And it's now with Akanji, midway side the Chelsea half. Furthest right is De Bruyne. He's got everything to his left. Now an overlap of Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne will put the cross in instead himself. It comes off Enzo Fernandez. And the man's gone down. But Walker will strike from afar instead. And he's aimed for the top right corner. And it goes wide of the post. And for the experience of Kyle Walker at 33 years of age, you'd expect him to probably not take the shot on there. He's not scored since October 2021. Kyle Walker's last goal was 851 days ago. And why he's took that one on from far range doesn't quite make a lot of sense. But with 90 seconds left, will City come to a fourth draw at home in the season? They've been frustrated at home more often than not compared to previous campaigns. Last season, Manchester City, their home record was impeccable. They won 17 of the 19. But they haven't got left to convert this draw to a win. Walker bombing down the right-hand side here. Into the final third. Inside to De Bruyne. Then back to Foden. Across to Ruben Diaz. It's now or never for the team in light blue. Ake finds Doku. In the final third. Outside the box at the moment. Enters the area. On the outside. His cross is blocked by Gusto. It could be a final corner kick for Manchester City, who have tried ever so hard in this second half to score 2 goals. They've only just about scored the one. Can they nick a winner at the very last moments here? De Bruyne to the far post. Headed off Haaland, punched by Petrovic. Cole Wilkin clear. And it will fall through to the halfway line here to Ederson, who just needs to get it forward. Goes short to Foden. With Rodri. Bernardo Silva's free on the far right-hand side and they find him. Bernardo Silva crosses in. Haaland with the header. Still alive. Diaz falls. Colwill clears. Just with De Bruyne on the edge. Forward for Doku. On his right foot. His shot's blocked. And it's cleared by Chalobah. And we will still not get the referee's whistle. We've played the 4 minutes. De Bruyne goes long this time, up towards Diaz, through to Bernardo Silva, lifts it in the box, Ake heads it down, Rodri deflects beyond the post, and wide it goes for another corner. There's a VAR check for something. I think Diaz is asking for an elbow as the ball went in. Maybe a handball as well from the original cross. I think it looks like he came off both hands, really. Looks like he came off a mix of Diaz and Colwill's hand, really. It's all a bit messy, but there is a bit of a hit away from Colwill with that hand, and VAR are checking it. There's a bit of a move from Colwill, which almost indicates he's trying to almost just stroke the ball away with his hand. It'll be a corner. Not enough for a penalty. Akanji's furious. But this is it for Manchester City. It'll be Bernardo Silva with his left foot. City pack out the penalty area. Cross goes in. Missed by Petrovic, but cleared by Gusto. And that's where the referee will blow for full time. It ends in frustration for Guardiola and Manchester City as they lose grip on the title race. They are 4 points now behind Liverpool with a game in hand at home to Brentford in the week. On the overall balance of play, you probably would give Chelsea the point in the end. They defended so strongly and conceded in the 82nd minute for a Rodri strike where he was left alone in the box after a Walker shot was blocked and it fell through to Rodri. And his left-footed strike towards the bottom left corner deflected into the roof of the net off Chalobah. And they continued to try and push through for a winner. But it just wasn't happening today for Manchester City. And now it's Liverpool's title to lose. It's a fantastic performance for Chelsea to go into the League Cup final next week. They can take so many positives. It's 3 away games on the bounce now for Chelsea where they've gone unbeaten. And it does seem now under Mauricio Pochettino they're starting to find some form. And what an unbelievable point to take off Manchester City. 2 draws for Chelsea this season in the league against the top dogs who have won the last 3 leagues in a row. Didn't quite have the amount of goals that we did at Stamford Bridge, but we did have a very entertaining game here at the Etihad Stadium. Just could not quite happen for Manchester City. They peppered that Chelsea goal. Not enough of the shots were on target, but to deal with that amount of pressure, credit has to go to Chelsea there, who pick up a point. They're now on 35 points this season, Chelsea. They are 9 points off their grand total of last season, which got them into 12th position. But after 32 strikes, only the 5 on target, it's Chelsea who can walk away with a point. But Chelsea deserve it. They were a constant threat on the counter-attack, and quite simply, City were not good enough in front of goal, and they've been punished for it. The goal scoring started with Raheem Sterling 3 minutes before the break. On the counter-attack, Jackson down the right-hand side being played through by Palmer, played it across to Sterling, who took on Walker, curled it into the bottom right corner beyond Ederson, and it gave Chelsea a lead into half-time, and they kept that lead until 7 minutes from the end, where it was Rodri with a left-footed storming shot into the back of the net, which deflected off Chalobah as he was left unmarked in the box. And they tried to go for the winner at the end. There was half chances in there for Manchester City, but overall it was Chelsea to see through the point here at the Etihad. They go into the League Cup final off a positive performance away at the champions. So it's Cup final focus now for Chelsea, and it's frustration for Manchester City. Before you go, great commentary, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much. Before you do go, the commentaries for next week. We've got one more tomorrow. Brighton women against Liverpool women in the WSL at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And then next week, we have got both of the EFL Trophy games. We're going for something different. It is what was called the Papa John's Trophy. I think it's the Bristol Rovers Motors Trophy now. And we're in the semi-final stages of that. I believe they're two-legged. So we're going to be covering Bradford Wickham on Tuesday and Blackpool Peterborough on Tuesday, and then Bradford Wickham on the Wednesday, and then the commentary on the Sunday is Chelsea Liverpool. So we are covering that League Cup final next week at 3 o'clock on Sunday. But just 2 commentaries in the week next week, and they are on Tuesday and Wednesday, as Blackpool and Peterborough and Bradford and Wickham face each other in the EFL Trophy semi-finals. But from here, from the Etihad Stadium, it is all over. I hope you did enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. But here at the Etihad, City have been left frustrated. They fell behind before half-time through former player Sterling. They equalised through Rodri, but they couldn't go on and win the game. And it's been left in frustration. They've got a game on Wednesday against Brentford. If they win that, they go 1 point behind Liverpool. But as it stands, it is Liverpool in charge and in control of the title race. A City draw here at home. It finishes Manchester City 1, Chelsea 1.